Beloved, as you enter this sacred moment, I want you to still your spirit and open the gates of your heart, because the atmosphere around you is about to shift. Heaven is leaning in. The breath of God is drawing near. There is a divine stirring moving through your home, through your mind, through every room where the sound is playing. You are not here by accident. God has summoned you into his presence, and tonight he is setting divine order over everything concerning you. While this prayer washes over your home, let the weight of his glory rest upon you, anchoring your soul in peace that surpasses understanding. I speak over you tonight as a vessel of the living God. Let every distraction fall away. Let every battle lose its power. Let every storm come under the authority of the one who speaks. Peace, be still. As you rest under the canopy of his presence, may angels be dispatched on assignment. May clarity come. May healing flow. May deliverance break forth like the dawn. God is not just entering your space. He is inhabiting it. His presence is saturating the very atmosphere, pushing out darkness, silencing torment, and releasing supernatural tranquility. Prepare your heart, because as you sleep, heaven will work. As you close your eyes, God will open doors. As you rest, he will restore. Tonight, let this be your declaration. Lord, fill this house with your glory. And if this word resonates with your spirit, like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily prayer. Write amen in the comments, and also comment one thing you're believing God for today. When we speak of inviting God's presence to fill and guard every room of your home, we are speaking of something far deeper than a simple request. We are calling upon the very essence of the Almighty to inhabit the spaces where you live, breathe, rest, and dream. We are acknowledging him as the keeper of your dwelling, the watchman of your nights, and the architect of divine peace within your wall. When you open your home to the Spirit of God, you invite his light to replace every shadow, his order to replace every chaos, and his voice to silence every whisper of fear that has tried to settle in the atmosphere around you. As you listen right now, imagine the presence of God gently moving through the rooms of your home, softly, quietly, powerfully, bringing with him a calm that you cannot manufacture, a peace that no human can give, and a protection that no force of darkness can penetrate. There is something sacred about the place you call home. It is where your mind unwinds, where your spirit resets, where your body recovers. But it is also the place where spiritual battles often try to take root. Battles of anxiety, heaviness, confusion, stress, and unseen warfare. When you invite the presence of God into your home, you are doing more than just asking for comfort. You are activating his authority over every hidden struggle. You are welcoming the one who never sleeps to stand guard over you when you do. His presence becomes a shield, a fortress, a barrier against anything that seeks to unsettle your rest or disrupt the peace he intends for you. As this prayer plays, see the atmosphere shifting, feel the heaviness lifting, sense the room becoming lighter, quieter, more aligned with the heartbeat of heaven. When the Spirit of God enters a home, he brings with him a cleansing force, one that disarms the spiritual weight that sometimes clings to our surroundings. His presence has a way of clearing the unseen clutter, removing the residue of stress, and driving out anything that is not aligned with his peace. The presence of God does not simply visit a room, it transforms it. It saturates the walls, the air, the silence, the atmosphere. It calms what was restless. It steadies what was wavering. It strengthens what felt weak, and it reminds your soul that you are not alone, not unprotected, not uncovered. His presence becomes the gentle reassurance that even in the quiet hours of the night, you are surrounded by divine stability. As God fills your home, picture his light spreading through every corner, reaching into the rooms you rarely enter, touching the places that hold memories, and even moving into spaces that have carried emotional or spiritual residue. His presence does not overlook anything. It visits the living room where conversations happen that may have left pain lingering. It enters the kitchen where your days begin with burdens sometimes heavier than your body can carry. It moves into the hallway where you have walked with questions trailing behind you. It enters the bedroom where your heart has wrestled with worries late into the night. And in each of these places, his presence breathes peace, assurance, cleansing, and renewal. Wherever his presence settles, heaviness loses its grip. In inviting God's presence, you invite the supernatural into the natural. You welcome heaven's order into earthly spaces. You give God permission to turn your home into a sanctuary, a place where his angels move freely, where his voice whispers gently to your spirit, where rest becomes holy, and where sleep becomes a sacred exchange between your weakness and his strength. A home filled with God's presence becomes a refuge, where burdens melt away at the door, where confusion cannot linger, and where anxiety does not have the authority to speak. His presence guards not only the visible, but also the invisible parts of your environment, ensuring that what enters aligns with his will for your peace. As you listen, imagine the presence of God hovering over your home like a protective covering, forming a spiritual barrier that nothing unclean, unsettling, or disruptive can cross. His presence becomes the wall of fire around you, the hedge of protection encircling you, the divine shield that covers every doorway, every window, and every threshold. God becomes the unseen security system, one that no earthly device can match. No attack, no negative energy, no spiritual disturbance can break through the covering of the Almighty. His presence stands as a guard over your night, ensuring that your rest is not disturbed, your dreams are not infiltrated, and your mind is not tormented. When you invite God to fill your home, you are also inviting him to bring peace into the very atmosphere, not just emotional peace, but spiritual peace. A peace that steadies your breathing, a peace that slows your thoughts, a peace that calms your nervous system, a peace that signals to your spirit that you are safe, held, and protected. This kind of peace is not fragile, it is strong. It is not temporary, it endures. It is not dependent on circumstances, it is anchored in God himself. As his presence fills your home, this peace becomes the new climate of your environment, dissolving the tension that has tried to settle in your mind. This invitation to God's presence is also an invitation for him to realign the spiritual atmosphere of your home with his divine ardor. Every home carries a certain energy, a spiritual climate shaped by conversations, emotions, battles, victories, and memories. When God steps into that atmosphere, he begins to bring things back into alignment. What has been off balance begins to stabilize. What has been chaotic begins to settle. What is felt spiritually noisy becomes quiet. God's presence does not just appear, he rearranges, he restores, he resets, and he establishes his order where disorder once tried to reign. As this prayer plays, feel your environment being spiritually reset. Allow yourself to breathe more deeply as his presence settles. Feel the tension loosening from your shoulders. Feel your heartbeat slowing into a steady rhythm. Feel your mind shifting from overthinking to resting. This is what happens when the Spirit of God fills a home. The atmosphere obeys him. The spiritual climate bends to his authority. The environment becomes restful, safe, holy, calm. You begin to sense that something has changed, not outwardly, but inwardly. A stillness emerges that you didn't have to fight for. A calm settles that you didn't have to earn. This is the gift of his presence. As God fills your home, he also fills the emotional spaces within you. His presence reaches into the silent places where fears have been stored, into the hidden corners of your heart where disappointment has tried to linger, into the memories that replay when the night becomes quiet. He brings comfort to what has been hurting, reassurance to what has been uncertain, healing to what has been wounded. His presence does not rush. It moves gently, intentionally, tenderly, ministering to your soul in ways that words cannot. This is why inviting him into your home matters. His presence becomes a healing force that transforms you from within. Even as you prepare to rest, his presence continues to work. His spirit does not sleep. He watches, guards, and protects. As you place your head on the pillow, trust that the same God who fills your home also fills the night with his protection. Trust that he positions angels around you, not symbolically, but literally, to stand guard while you sleep. Trust that nothing can disturb your rest without first passing through the presence of the Almighty, and nothing harmful can pass through him. His presence becomes the shield that covers your body, your spirit, your mind, and your dreams. When you invite God into your home, you are not just asking him to visit, you are asking him to dwell, to inhabit, to take residence, to make your home a place where his presence is felt, welcomed, and honored. A place where peace is not an occasional guest, but a permanent resident. A place where you wake up refreshed because his presence watched over you through the night. A place where you fall asleep without fear, because the God of heaven stands at your door. As this prayer continues to play, let your home become saturated with his presence. Let the Spirit of God fill the air like a soft, comforting blanket. Let every room come into agreement with his peace. Let his presence linger long after the sound stops. Let your home become a dwelling place for his glory. Let your heart rest in the knowledge that where God is invited, he brings protection, order, healing, and a peace that settles into every corner of your life. When we speak of releasing divine peace that silences fear, anxiety, and spiritual turbulence, we are speaking of a peace that does not come from this world. It is a peace born from the very heart of God, a peace that carries the weight of heaven, a peace that has authority, substance, and presence. It is not an idea, not a feeling, not a temporary emotional ease. It is a force, a spiritual power, a covering that settles over your mind, your spirit, and your atmosphere with gentle strength. As you listen, imagine this peace moving toward you like a soft, warm wind, carrying with it the reassurance of God's unchanging love. It approaches you slowly, intentionally, until it wraps itself around you and begins to still every anxious flutter in your chest, every restless thought in your mind, every trembling in your spirit. Divine peace is not fragile, it is fortified. It does not waver when storms rise, nor does it diminish when challenges increase. It stands firm in the midst of turmoil and speaks to the chaos. Be still. When God releases his peace into your life, it does not negotiate with fear, it replaces it. It does not soothe anxiety temporarily. It uproots it from its hiding places. It does not temporarily distract the turbulence. It silences it at its source. The peace of God is not reactive. It is authoritative. It does not respond to fear. It overrides it. This is the peace that Jesus spoke of when he said, "My peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you." A peace that is not like the world's, conditional and fleeting, but steady, consistent, anchored in his presence. As this peace begins to settle over you, notice how your breathing begins to slow. Notice how your shoulders drop just a little more. Notice how the tension that once gripped your mind starts to loosen. Divine peace has a way of ministering to the mind in ways words cannot. It enters the internal world that often remains hidden from others. The quiet places where fears replay themselves, where doubts whisper, where worst-case scenarios try to take root. This peace is like a gentle hand laid upon your thoughts, saying quietly, "Rest now." It softens the mental noise, clears the fog, and brings your mind back into alignment with the truth that God is still in control. Anxiety thrives in spaces where uncertainty grows, but divine peace thrives in the presence of God's certainty. When peace enters, it does not pretend everything is perfect. It reminds you that God is present even in the imperfect. It does not promise you a life without difficulty, but it anchors you so deeply in God that difficulty no longer has the power to disturb your inner world. Peace does not change the wind, it changes your response to the wind. It does not remove the waves, it teaches your spirit to remain still while the waves pass. This is why divine peace is so powerful. It stabilizes you even when life is not stable. As this peace continues to descend, imagine it like a soft light filling the room you're sitting or lying in. See it touching the walls, filling the corners, moving through the air with quiet authority. It dims the noise of fear until it becomes faint, distant, powerless. It dulls the sharp edge of anxiety until it no longer pierces you. It disrupts the rhythm of chaos until it loses its ability to disturb your spirit. Peace becomes a blanket over your environment, creating a spiritual stillness that transforms the atmosphere around you. There are battles you fought in your mind that no one knows about. The battles that keep you awake at night, the worries that follow you into the morning, the silent fears that sit in the back of your thoughts. Divine peace is God's answer to those unspoken battles. It enters quietly, but it works deeply. It does not argue with your fears. It overwhelms them with truth. It does not challenge your worries, it melts them with assurance. It does not chastise you for being anxious, it gently invites you into rest. When peace comes, you do not have to fight to feel safe. You simply begin to know that you are. Fear is loud, but peace is stronger. Anxiety is persistent, but peace is enduring. Spiritual turbulence is draining, but peace is restorative. When God releases his peace into your life, he is not just calming your emotions. He is strengthening your spirit, renewing your mind, and fortifying your inner world. Peace is not passive. It is protective. It guards your heart and mind like a shield. It fills your internal space so fully that there is no room left for the enemy's tormenting thought. As this divine peace fills you, picture it flowing through your entire being. See it resting on your mind like a soft weight, grounding you. See it settling in your chest, steadying your emotions. See it covering your body, relaxing every muscle. See it reaching into the areas of your heart where old worries have tried to take root, gently loosening their grip. Divine peace does not rush. It moves slowly, intentionally, allowing every part of you to absorb it. It lifts the burdens you've carried so long you almost forgot how heavy they were. Sometimes fear attaches itself not to situations, but to memories. Moments in your past where you felt helpless or overwhelmed. Peace reaches into those memories as well. It touches the places where you once trembled, bringing healing to what was unsettled. Peace does not erase your history. It heals it. It softens the sharp edges of painful moments. It restores the parts of your heart that were bruised by disappointment. It removes the lingering echoes of trauma and replaces them with the gentle whisper of God's reassurance. You may have experienced nights when fear crept into your thoughts like an unwelcome visitor, or nights when anxiety whispered in the shadows, or nights when your spirit felt unsettled, though nothing around you had changed. Divine peace is God's response to those restless nights. It enters your atmosphere like a guardian. It stands watch over your thoughts. It speaks softly to your spirit until your internal storms begin to quiet. Peace does not come to sit beside turbulence. It comes to silence it. As this prayer continues, imagine peace filling not just your mind, but your entire home. See it flowing down the hallway, entering every room, touching every door, filling the air like a fragrance of calm. Peace becomes the new atmosphere, the new environment, the new climate. It settles over your bed like a soft covering, preparing your body and spirit for restful sleep. Peace does not simply help you rest. It invites you into a restful state where God carries what you cannot. And as peace fills your home, imagine the spiritual turbulence being pushed out. Imagine the anxiety that has hovered around your thoughts, losing its grip. Imagine the fear that has followed you through seasons beginning to dissolve. Imagine the heaviness that has clung to you quietly slipping away. Peace is not just arriving, it is replacing, removing, restoring. God's peace does not share space with torment, it displaces it. Wherever peace settles, darkness cannot remain. Divine peace also reconnects you with God's presence. Fear clouds your ability to sense Him. Anxiety clutters the spiritual frequency of your soul. Turbulence disrupts your awareness of His voice. But when peace comes, clarity returns. You begin to sense God again. You begin to feel His nearness. You begin to hear His whispers more clearly. Peace becomes the bridge that brings you back into alignment with Him. As this peace continues to move, let it soften the places inside you that have been tense for too long. Let it calm the thoughts that have been racing. Let it quiet the questions that have been loud. Let it cradle your heart in a gentleness that reminds you that God has not forgotten you, has not abandoned you, has not overlooked you. His peace is proof of His presence, and His presence is proof of His care. There is nothing you need to do to earn this peace. You do not need to strive, perform, or prove anything. Peace is a gift God gives to those He loves. A gift He gives freely. A gift He gives because He knows how deeply you need it. Allow this peace to settle in and around you without resistance. Let it minister to you. Let it hold you. Let it remind you that you are safe, protected, seen, and loved. As peace fills you, you may feel your spirit soften, your mind quiet, your body relax. This is God's doing. This is His hand gently resting upon you. This is His presence creating order within you. This is His love calming you from the inside out. As the night continues, let this divine peace carry you into rest. Not a restless sleep, but a holy rest where God guards you, restores you, and prepares you for what is ahead. When we speak of declaring supernatural protection, healing, and angelic covering as you sleep, we are stepping into a realm where heaven interacts with your natural world in ways your eyes may not see, but your spirit can feel. Nighttime is often the moment when the human heart becomes most vulnerable, when the mind slows, but worries sometimes grow louder, when the body is still, but the spirit is more aware, when silence amplifies whatever has been weighing on you throughout the day. But it is also the time when God does some of His deepest work. It is the time when He releases His presence, His protection, His healing, and His angels to stand guard over you. As you listen now, let your heart open to the reality that you are not lying down alone. You are not resting unprotected, and you are not sleeping without heaven's watchful eye. There are battles that take place in the unseen world, battles that you may not even realize are happening, battles that attempt to target your peace, your dreams, your spirit, and even your physical rest. But when God releases supernatural protection, these battles are intercepted before they can ever reach you. His protection becomes like a spiritual fortress around your bed, like a shield that surrounds your entire being. It covers you in a way that no earthly defense can. It becomes a barrier that darkness cannot penetrate, a hedge that the enemy cannot cross, a wall of divine fire that encircles you with heavenly authority. As this prayer is playing, imagine God's protective presence forming a circle of light around you, a light so strong, so bright, so impenetrable that nothing contrary to His will can enter your space. Supernatural protection is not symbolic. It is a reality. It means that while your natural eyes are closed, heaven's eyes remain open. While your body rests, the Spirit of God stands guard. While your mind releases the worries of the day, the angels of the Lord take their positions at the doorways, the windows, the corners, the unseen entry points of your home. They are not passive observers, but active defenders assigned by God to watch, to guard, to intervene. Angels are not fictional beings. They are spiritual warriors with authority, strength, and divine assignment. They carry swords of light and they move with precision. And one of their roles is to protect those whom God calls his own. As you prepare for sleep, know that the heavenly host is surrounding you, not loosely, but intentionally. As God releases his protection, he also releases his healing. Sleep is not just a physical necessity. It is a spiritual opportunity. It is the time when God restores what the day drained, when he repairs what stress has strained, when he mends what worry has frayed. Healing does not always take place in dramatic moments. Oftentimes, it happens quietly, gently, slowly while you sleep. Healing flows into your muscles, releasing tension. It moves into your nervous system, calming the signals of anxiety. It enters your bloodstream, supporting your body's natural rhythms. It touches your heart, easing the emotional weight you carried. It enters your thoughts, clearing away mental clutter. Healing is God's way of resetting you, realigning you, renewing you. And there are parts of your body that have been aching, parts of your soul that have been weary, parts of your mind that have been overstimulated. As you listen now, imagine God's healing presence moving through you like a warm, steady stream. Picture it traveling through your head, relieving mental strain. See it flowing into your chest, easing emotional heaviness. Feel it moving through your back, your shoulders, your legs, releasing every tightness, every discomfort. Healing is not rushed. It is intentional. It meets you exactly where you need it. Sometimes healing comes as a lifting of pain. Sometimes it comes as a lifting of worry. Sometimes it comes as a lifting of the pressure you've been carrying. But however it arrives, it is God's gift to you in the stillness of the night. As healing flows, supernatural protection continues to surround you. The two work together. Protection keeps harm out. Healing restores what needs to be repaired within. Protection prevents interruption. Healing ensures renewal. Protection guards your boundaries. Healing strengthens your core. One keeps you safe. The other makes you whole. This is why nighttime is sacred. It is a time where you are enveloped, covered, and ministered to by heaven itself. Even when you are unaware, heaven is active. Even when you are silent, angels are speaking on your behalf. Even when you sleep, the Spirit of God is working in the deepest parts of who you are. Angelic covering is not only about standing guard. It is also about creating an atmosphere of peace. Angels carry the fragrance of heaven, the sound of calm, the presence of God. When they stand in your home, the spiritual environment changes. The air feels lighter. The atmosphere becomes calmer. The space becomes holy. Angels are messengers of God, but they are also carriers of his peace. They dispel darkness. They silence spiritual noise. They break the influence of fear. If you have ever sensed peace settle into a room unexpectedly, it is often because God has released his angels to minister to you. As you rest tonight, imagine an angel standing at each entry of your room, one by the door, one by the window, one at the foot of your bed, one near your pillow, not as a symbol, but as a spiritual reality. Picture them standing tall, glowing softly with divine light, watchful and alert. Their presence is gentle, but their strength is beyond anything you can imagine. Nothing dark can cross their watch. Nothing harmful can enter the perimeter of your peace. They stand guard because God commanded them to. They defend you because heaven values you. They protect you because God has placed his hand upon your life. Supernatural protection does not mean there will never be battles. It means the battles will never reach you. It means the attempts of the enemy are intercepted before they make impact. It means attacks dissolve before they are formed. It means that while the enemy plots, heaven prevents. God's protection is proactive, not reactive. He sees what you cannot see, knows what you cannot know, and guards you from what you will never even become aware of. Tonight, as you surrender to rest, trust that God has already gone ahead of you, already positioned angels around you, already covered your home with his presence. Healing, too, is not limited to physical aches. It touches emotional wounds, disappointments you still carry, fears tucked away in hidden places, memories that sometimes revisit you at night. Healing reaches into old places you thought were resolved, but still linger in your heart. It softens the edges of hurt that time alone has not been able to erase. It brings comfort to the parts of you that still feel fragile. Healing reminds you that God is not just repairing your body. He is restoring your soul. He is piecing together parts of you that were scattered by stress, reshaping parts that were strained by worry, and renewing parts that were worn thin by life's demands. As God heals you, he also ministers to your spirit. Some of the deepest healing happens when your spirit finally feels safe enough to release what it has been holding. Tonight, as you sleep under God's covering, your spirit will begin to let go of burdens you were never meant to carry. It will release fears you learned to live with. It will release pressures you've silently endured. Healing happens when your spirit is no longer in survival mode, but finally enters rest. God heals the restless by giving them peace. He heals the weary by giving them rest. He heals the wounded by wrapping them in his love. As all of this unfolds within you, angelic covering ensures that nothing interferes with the healing process. Angels guard the atmosphere so your mind can quiet. They guard your spirit so your dreams are peaceful. They guard your environment so your restoration is uninterrupted. Angels are God's messengers, his warriors, his protectors, and they have been assigned to you not temporally, but continually. You are not unprotected for even one moment. Heaven is always watching, always guarding, always surrounding. There may have been nights in the past when you felt vulnerable, nights when fear crept into your thoughts, nights when you felt spiritually unsettled. But tonight is different. Tonight, God is taking over the night watch. Tonight, angels are taking their positions. Tonight, healing is flowing into your body. Tonight, supernatural protection is sealing your atmosphere. Tonight, peace is replacing every disturbing night. God is wrapping you in a covering that no darkness can pierce. As this prayer continues, imagine your spirit settling into a deep calm. Feel your body becoming heavy with rest. Feel your mind quieting as if someone gently turned down the volume of your thoughts. Feel the room becoming safer, warmer, lighter. These sensations are not imagined. They are the result of God moving in your environment. Divine presence ushers in peace. Peace ushers in rest. Rest ushers in healing. Healing ushers in renewal. And protection keeps the entire process undisturbed. You are not sleeping in fear. You are sleeping in faith. You are not resting in vulnerability. You are resting under divine watch. You are not lying down uncertain. You are lying down covered by God and surrounded by angels. Every moment of your sleep is being monitored by heaven. Every breath is under God's care. Every part of your being is being restored, renewed, and protected. As you continue to listen, allow your heart to absorb this truth. You are safe. You are covered. You are seen. You are defended. You are healed. You are held by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. Heaven is not distant. It is present. God is not far. He is near. Angels are not mythical. They are active. Protection is not symbolic. It is literal. Healing is not delayed, it is flowing. And all of this is happening while you rest, while you sleep, while you breathe in the stillness of the night. Let your entire being settle into this calm. Let your spirit lean into this covering. Let your thoughts loosen their grip. Let your heart rest in quiet trust. Tonight, you sleep under supernatural protection. Tonight, healing moves through you. Tonight, angels stand guard. Tonight, God watches over you with a love that never fades and a power that never fails. When we speak of realigning your spirit with God's will, purpose, and divine order for your life, we are speaking of a sacred, gentle recalibration, something that happens deep within you, often without noise, without force, without pressure. It is the spiritual equivalent of being guided back into alignment when you have drifted ever so slightly off course. Life has a way of pulling you in many directions at once. Responsibilities tug at you, worries weigh you down, expectations crowd your thoughts. Disappointments create internal detours, and sometimes, without even realizing it, your spirit begins to drift from the center of God's perfect peace and purpose. But when you invite God to realign your spirit, you are asking Him to bring you back into the place where everything within you rests in harmony with His voice, His timing, and His plan. Realignment does not mean perfection. It means positioning. It means allowing God to gently shift your heart, your thoughts, and your inner posture so that you are facing Him again. Not your fears, not your confusion, not your past, not your circumstances. When your spirit is aligned with God, there is a clarity that begins to rise within you. Decisions that once felt tangled begin to settle. Emotions that were frayed begin to regain strength. Alignment brings order, and divine order brings peace. As you listen now, imagine your spirit standing before God like a compass that has been shaken by the storms of the day. See His hand gently touching it, steadying it, causing it to turn back toward true north, toward His presence, His truth, His will. Divine alignment is not forced, it is received. It is the kind of shift that happens when you stop striving and begin surrendering. When you stop trying to carry everything yourself and begin allowing God to lift the weight. When you stop running ahead or lagging behind and begin walking in step with Him again. Alignment happens when your spirit releases what does not belong. Release the pressure, release the tension, release the fear, release the expectations that have been placed upon you by others or even by yourself. These weights distort your spiritual posture, and God, in His tenderness, begins to lift them one by one. He untangles the knots that life tied around your heart. He removes the burdens that bent your spirit out of shape. He loosens the grip of anxiety that caused your internal rhythm to become uneven. And slowly your inner being begins to recenter, rebalance, and realign with the steady, unchanging presence of God. When your spirit is aligned with God's will, you begin to sense His guidance more clearly. It becomes easier to distinguish His voice from the noise of your surroundings. The confusion that once clouded your mind begins to lift like morning fog dissolving in the warmth of the sun. Opportunities look different. Challenges feel different. Even your own identity feels clearer. Alignment brings understanding. It brings perspective. It brings confidence that is rooted not in your own ability, but in God's sovereignty. Divine alignment also affects the way you perceive time. When you are misaligned, everything feels urgent, rushed, pressured, like life is moving faster than you can keep up with. But when your spirit aligns with God's timing, you begin to operate with a sense of calm assurance. You no longer feel behind. You no longer feel lost. You no longer feel the need to force outcomes. Instead, a gentle trust rises within you, reminding you that God's timing is perfect and your current position is not a mistake. Alignment helps you breathe again, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be for this moment. As this alignment happens, imagine God's peace flowing through you like a warm, steady stream, moving into the deepest parts of your spirit. Feel it smoothing the rough edges of stress. Feel it calming the turbulent waters of your thoughts. Feel it quieting the internal noise that has made it difficult to hear him. Realignment creates room for rest. True rest, the kind that comes from knowing you are held, guided, and deeply loved by your Creator. There are parts of your life that have felt tangled, relationships, responsibilities, decisions, emotions, and yet, in the presence of God, these tangled areas begin to loosen. God brings clarity where there was confusion. He brings order where there was disorder. He brings peace where there was turmoil. This is what alignment feels like everything inside you is exhaling, releasing, letting go of what does not serve your spirit. Realignment is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. As God realigns your spirit, he also realigns your desires. The things that once held your attention begin to fall away. The things that once drained your energy begin to lose their grip. And the things that are part of your divine purpose begin to rise within you again. Dreams that fell asleep begin to stir. Passions that were buried beneath stress begin to awaken. Vision that had become blurry begins to sharpen. God's alignment reconnects you to the deeper truth of who you are and who you were created to be. Alignment also brings healing. Healing to your identity, healing to your expectations, healing to your inner dialogue. When your spirit is out of alignment, it is easy to believe lies about yourself, to wear labels that were never meant for you, to carry burdens that were not assigned to you. But as God draws you back into alignment, he strips away those false identities and reminds you of who you truly are. Called, chosen, loved, capable, purposed, covered, guided. His voice becomes louder than the lies, and his truth becomes the anchor that holds you steady. As this alignment deepens, notice how your breathing begins to slow, how your body relaxes, how your mind softens. These physical responses are signs of spiritual alignment. When your soul aligns with God, your body begins to respond with rest. Your nervous system calms, your heartbeat steadies, your muscles release tension. Alignment is not just spiritual, it affects your entire being. God designed your spirit, soul, and body to move in harmony with him. And when one aligns, the others follow. Alignment brings discernment. When you are aligned, you are able to sense when something is from God and when something is not. You begin to recognize subtle shifts in your spirit that alert you when something is off. You begin to distinguish between opportunities that are divine and opportunities that are distractions. Divine alignment sharpens your spiritual awareness, allowing you to move through life with wisdom instead of confusion. You become more attuned to God's signals, more sensitive to his presence, more aware of his leading. There is a deep rest that comes with alignment, the kind of rest that settles not only your mind, but your soul. It is a stillness that feels like sinking into the arms of God himself. It is the calm of knowing you are exactly where you belong, even if everything around you has not yet come together. Rest does not wait for circumstances to be perfect. Rest comes from alignment. When your spirit is aligned, even the unknown becomes less intimidating because you trust that God is guiding your every step. As you continue to listen, imagine the weight of misalignment falling away from you. See the pressure lifting, feel the tension dissolving, sense your spirit drifting back into harmony with God's heartbeat. Alignment is like returning home after a long journey. Familiar, comforting, safe. It is the feeling of stepping back into a place where your soul recognizes peace, where your spirit recognizes truth, where your heart recognizes love. Realignment also prepares you for what God is bringing into your life. When your spirit is aligned, you are positioned to receive direction, opportunities, blessings, clarity, and wisdom. Misalignment can cause you to miss what God is trying to give you, but alignment positions you to recognize divine appointments when they come. It prepares you to hear God clearly, to move with confidence, and to step into the next chapter of your journey without hesitation or fear. As God aligns your spirit with his will, he is also aligning the path ahead of you. He is straightening what felt crooked. He is smoothing what felt rough. He is opening what felt closed. Alignment is not just internal, it is external. When your spirit comes into alignment, your life begins to follow doors open that were previously shut. Peace settles where there was agitation. Wisdom flows where there was confusion. Alignment becomes the foundation upon which God builds your next season. As this process continues, allow yourself to surrender fully. Surrender the need to understand everything. Surrender the urge to control outcomes. Surrender the pressure to figure things out alone. Alignment is not achieved through effort. It is received through surrender. Trust that God is guiding you. Trust that he knows what you cannot see. Trust that he is pulling your spirit gently back into the flow of his divine order. Trust that he is restructuring things within you so that you can walk in the fullness of your purpose. There may be areas of your life where you feel off balance, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. As God aligns your spirit, those areas begin to stabilize. You begin to stand taller, stronger, more centered. You begin to feel grounded again, rooted in God's presence. You begin to sense a renewed confidence, a quiet, steady assurance that you are moving with God and not against the current of his will. Let your heart rest in this moment. Let alignment wash over you like a soft wave. Let everything inside you find its position again. God is not rushing this process. He is doing it gently, carefully, lovingly. He is tuning your spirit like an instrument, ensuring that every part of you resonates with his peace, his timing, his truth. You are being restored to harmony within yourself, with God, with your purpose. As you breathe slowly in and out, feel your spirit settling into that alignment. Feel the weight lifting. Feel the clarity increasing. Feel the peace deepening. This is God's work within you. Quiet, powerful, transformative. You are being aligned not just for tonight, but for tomorrow, for the coming days, for the next season of your life. God is preparing you, positioning you, strengthening you from the inside out. Let this realignment continue as you rest. Let it unfold in your dreams. Let it settle in your subconscious. Let it anchor your emotions. Let it stabilize your thoughts. The God who formed you is now aligning you, guiding you back into harmony with his divine rhythm. And as you sleep, your spirit will remain in that place of peace, clarity, and purpose, held securely in the gentle hands of your Creator. When we speak of positioning your heart to receive breakthroughs, restoration, and prophetic clarity overnight, we are entering into a sacred realm where God does his quietest yet most powerful work. There is something deeply spiritual that takes place when the body rests, but the spirit remains open and receptive. Nighttime is not only a natural pause, it is a divine opportunity. It is a moment when heaven leans in closer, when the noise of the world fades, and when your heart becomes more sensitive to the subtle movements of God. As you listen now, imagine your heart gradually opening, not with force, not with pressure, but with ease, like a flower responding to the gentle touch of morning light. This openness is the posture that allows breakthrough to find its way into your life. But breakthrough is not always sudden or loud. Sometimes it is a shift so gentle that you only recognize it when you wake up and something inside you feels different. Sometimes it is a release of something that held you captive. Sometimes it is the lifting of heaviness you thought would linger forever. Sometimes it is clarity that appears in the quiet spaces of your soul. Breakthrough happens when your heart is in the right position, open, surrendered, and expectant. When you position your heart before God overnight, you are giving him full access to the deepest layers of your being. You are saying, Lord, work in me while I rest. Move things I cannot move. Heal things I cannot reach. Restore things I cannot fix. This posture invites heaven to intervene in ways the conscious mind could never orchestrate. Restoration flows in similar ways. It is gentle, patient, and continuous. There are places within you, emotional spaces, spiritual rooms, inner landscapes, that have carried strain, disappointment, grief, or exhaustion. Restoration enters those places like warm oil soothing a wounded area. It moves through your spirit while you sleep, stitching what was torn, cleansing what was stained, refreshing what was weary. Restoration is God's commitment to bringing you back into wholeness, piece by piece, layer by layer, thought by thought. It is the quiet rebuilding of the soul, the subtle renewal of hope, the reawakening of purpose that had dimmed under fatigue. Positioning your heart for restoration is like opening the door of your inner home and allowing God to walk through each room, rearranging what needs shifting, restoring what needs healing, and renewing what needs life. Prophetic clarity often comes when the mind is no longer competing with distractions. During the day, your thoughts are busy navigating responsibilities, conversations, decisions, and tasks. But at night, when everything becomes still, your spirit is more available to hear what God has been whispering all along. Clarity is not merely information. It is revelation that aligns with God's purpose for your life. It is insight that cuts through confusion. It is illumination that makes your next steps visible. It is wisdom that settles into you like a knowing, quiet, strong, unmistakable. When your heart is positioned correctly, God can speak to you through dreams, impressions, thoughts, or an overwhelming sense of understanding that rises within you upon waking. Positioning your heart is not a physical action. It is a spiritual posture. It is when you allow surrender to replace striving. It is when expectation replaces worry. It is when openness replaces resistance. It is when trust replaces fear. Imagine your heart now, resting in the gentle hands of God, releasing the tight grip it once held. See it softening, see it slowing, see it expanding. This openness is the soil where breakthroughs take root. It is the soft ground where healing can settle. It is the space where divine clarity can land without obstruction. Sometimes breakthroughs are delayed, not because God withholds them, but because the heart is too weighed down, too tense, or too guarded to receive them. But tonight, as you listen, that tension begins to melt, that heaviness begins to lift, that guardedness begins to loosen. Your heart is becoming receptive, not vulnerable in the sense of being unprotected, but open in the sense of being available to divine intervention. When your heart is positioned rightly, breakthrough does not have to force its way in. It flows in naturally, like water finding its way to a place that is ready to receive it. As breakthrough approaches, imagine walls inside you beginning to fall. Not walls that protected you from harm, but walls that have blocked healing, connection, and renewal. Imagine old fears stepping back. Imagine self-doubt shrinking. Imagine confusion dissipating like mist. You do not have to make this happen. Your only role is to rest and remain open. God does the work. He orchestrates the breakthrough. He arranges the restoration. He defines the clarity. You simply receive. Restoration often brings back parts of you that you lost along the way. Your joy, your confidence, your passion, your peace, your sense of purpose. Life can scatter these pieces in different seasons, but God gathers them gently and returns them to you, often while you sleep. Tonight is a night of gathering, a night of returning, a night of rebuilding. Imagine pieces of yourself that were misplaced being gently placed back where they belong. Imagine energy returning. Imagine hope returning. Imagine your inner world being restored to a place of strength and balance. Prophetic clarity, too, becomes easier to receive when the heart is quiet. God may reveal solutions to problems that have troubled you. He may give direction for decisions you've been struggling with. He may show you what is ahead, not to overwhelm you, but to prepare you. He may highlight the next step in your journey, not through thunder, but through a whisper that settles deep into your spirit. Clarity is like a lamp being lit in the dark. It does not remove the night, but it makes the path visible. Tonight, your lamp is being lit by the one who sees beyond every shadow. As your heart continues to open, imagine the atmosphere around you shifting into a place of calm receptivity. The noise is fading, the distractions are dissolving, the tensions are loosening. You are entering a posture where receiving becomes natural. A heart position before God becomes like a vessel, empty of worry, empty of fear, empty of resistance, and ready to be filled with wisdom, strength, peace, and divine insight. There are breakthroughs you have prayed for, breakthroughs you have waited for, breakthroughs that felt out of reach. Some of them will begin unfolding in the unseen tonight. Not all breakthrough is visible immediately. Sometimes it begins as a shift inside your perspective. Sometimes it begins as newfound peace. Sometimes it begins as relief from something that tormented you. Sometimes it begins as a dream that reveals direction. Breakthrough does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. But its effects are undeniable once they take root.